Hello, my name is Marlene, and thank you in advance for listening to my pitch presentation about a bloke with amnesia. You know those moments when you walk into a room and forget why you're there? Imagine playing a game that revolves around the concept of forgetting your objective. A Bloke with Amnesia is a game about a guy who is constantly forgetting what he is doing, and it's the player's job to help this poor guy get through his day and help him remember what his current objectives are. The antagonizing force in this game is none other than the bloke's own memory. The player must interact with the environment in order to overcome the lapses in his memory to get him to complete his objectives. The mechanics of this game largely revolve around the idea that the player knows just as little about what the bloke is supposed to be doing as he does. So all levels begin with no clear objective in mind. The plan is to have at least 4 levels of different settings. The bloke's home in the morning, at work, going out for lunch, and the bloke's home in the evening. More levels may be added as time provides. Within each of these levels, the scene will load up and the bloke will prompt the player by saying, "What was I doing again?" and no further objectives will be immediately clear. For the very first level, basic instructions on how to move and interact with the world will be given. The player will then go around and interact with objects in the environment, which will prompt the bloke to give feedback on those objects. For instance, in the first level at the bloke's home in the morning, the player might interact with the table, and the bloke will indicate that he has eaten breakfast, so he is probably almost ready to go to work. They will continue playing until they have interacted with the correct objects to help jog the bloke's memory. The first level will not let the player leave until they interact with the bloke's keys. If the player ever gets stuck, there will always be at least one NPC in the level that will help give the player a hint. There will be 3 levels of hints that the NPCs will give, with the first one being the most vague and the last one being the most obvious. This game is mechanically very simple to implement with easy to program controls. The game is linear, so programming in multiple endings is unnecessary. There is a great amount of freedom in that this game is not reliant on graphics, so it can be made up to full 3D graphics if the team is feeling up to it, or it can be made as a simple text-based game. Mystery House is a game that I would call similar to a Bloke with Amnesia because of the fact that the game revolves around interacting with the environment in a very simple manner with no clear long-term goal. Another game that has similar mechanics is the Stanley Parable, where the controls are simple and the player can only interact with the environment to do simple tasks. The parts of the game that will take the most work to develop are the many different interactable objects, the feedbacks, and keeping track of how many times a player chooses to do a task. The other risk with this game is it might end up being too simplistic and feel boring if the team is unable to make the interactions and dialogue interesting enough. Thank you for listening to my pitch presentation about a bloke with amnesia. Please follow the link in the description for a list of my resources, and I look forward to hearing some feedback from you.